Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Rekon7 Pro from RekonFPV. So this is the 7-inch design from Dave CFPV. It's kind of a blown up version of the 4-inch micro long range. Pretty classic frame design here, dead cat with your front arms sort of further apart here, and then the back arms further back and closer together. Pretty classic in terms of a dead cat design. Very similar in looks to the 4-inch micro long range, and also some of the other models that Dave C has come out with. A few interesting changes here specifically for 7-inch. 6mm arms, of course. We have a 30x30 stack, F7 flight controller, 48 amp Heli S ESC, and we have a 30x30 board for the VTX. This is the analog version. This is a 800 milliwatt video transmitter. Got your long extra long VTX antenna here, right hand circular polarized. You have an M80 GPS in the back here with a pretty large antenna, so a little bit extra weight, but you're going to get better reliability on your GPS signal. 2806.5 motors, very classic size for 7-inch. So 2806.5, 1250 kV. So not 1300 like a lot of other ones out there. Yeah, I said again, 6mm arms. It's a very sort of a slam sort of stack here between the top plate and this sandwich plate here. It's about 20mm, so these standoffs are 20mm tall, but you can see it's a pretty compact setup here. The two 30x30 boards do fit in there pretty nicely. As you can see, the flight controller does have a USB Type-C port, 6mm arms, and then the capacitor is sticking in this little pocket here in the bottom. As you can see, it's kind of hanging down like that, but it's not really all that secure. I think they need to use some VHP or something to prevent it from vibrating. This I think will eventually vibrate enough to the point where the solder will crack and this will probably pop off at some point. Or you need to maybe just put some foam in here. I would say just if you get it like this, stick a piece of foam like this in here and just put some tape on the bottom so that it doesn't flop around. Other than that, it's fine. It's because it's not secured, it's going to move around and eventually probably will fall off. You do have one of those lost model alarm buzzers over here in between these two standoffs in the front where the XT60 comes out. So it does have the button you have to press after you unplug the battery, otherwise it'll start beeping after about 30 seconds. Pretty standard there. CADX Retel 2 for the camera. You have double plate here in the front. So since this is kind of exposed, you don't want this hitting concrete and stuff. It's going to get all chipped up, and this will eventually fray and break. So you have a double layer here in the front, so it's pretty nice. Little TPU part here for holding on a GoPro mount. This is a standard Hero 6-7 cage, GoPro cage. Stick that on there. Two battery straps here, and then they come with these Dal F7 V2 folding props, which I like to use because I just kind of cruise around, which is fine. And they do come with the Gemfan 3-bladed, regular propellers. No, not folding propellers. If you want to go with something maybe you would feel be a little bit more reliable and less likely to break. But I've never had any issues with the V2s. The V1s did explode on me one time out of the many sets I've had, but the V2s have been okay. Now, on the product page, this says that this weighs 464 grams without a receiver, and this has a receiver in it. This has actually two antennas. It's got a Crossfire diversity receiver with two Immortal T antennas. So you can see, got one here in the back, and then we have another one here in the front, and this is adjustable. You can adjust this angle so it's vertical, so it's right there. This is my first Crossfire diversity receiver I ever used, although I did get and you'll see in the flight demo that I did get a RX loss in the OST. I don't know why. I didn't lose control or didn't go to failsafe, but I've never seen an RX loss in a Crossfire receiver on any of my quads ever. I was a little shocking to see that. It's the first time I ever saw that. But anyway, in the product page, it says this weighs 464 grams without a receiver. So this has a receiver and the antennas plus the GoPro cage. And with all that extra weight, it's coming in at 573.5 grams. So this is the flying weight, or the, not the flying weight, but the weight without the battery and the GoPro on there. And I did not fly it with what I would usually fly it with on a 6S. Would be this big one here, because I wanted to see how long it would fly compared to the Chimera7, which you can see back there. I can't really do a fair comparison because that's the DJI version, and they sent me the analog version. And as you guys have, I know you guys have noticed and been asking me why HGLRC keeps sending me the analog versions, is because they don't have the DJI or enough DJI parts available for reviewers. So you probably noticed that all the reviewers are getting analog versions. Not sure if that means anything in terms of people, in terms of customers getting DJI versions. If you order a DJI version, I'm pretty sure you're going to get one, but I'm not sure what the delays are and everything with the chip shortage. Anyway, I did not fly with the long battery here because this does not fit on the truck bed here in the back. So this top plate is not long enough to hold this longer battery, while as the Chimera7 can hold it no problem. The custom 7-inch build that I showed you last week, the one with the light blue TPU parts, that one holds this battery no problem as well. So yeah, we will now be able to get this battery on here, you know, with the GoPro, because the GoPro gets in the way, or the VTX antenna gets in the way. I ended up using this 6-cell lithium ion pack instead. This is the iFlight Full Send 3000 milliamp hour 6S pack. Flies fine on this one, no problem. Obviously this is shorter in length, so it fits on here, no problem. And then the XC60 is right there. It just plugs in, no problem. You put the GoPro in there, everything's good. Now, in terms of the way it flies, the Pitune out of the box is it's a little wobbly in the wind. It was windy that day I flew this. I flew this on the same day I flew the custom build, the custom 7-inch I showed you last week. So if you want to see how this flies in comparison to the custom 7-inch build with the stolen PIDs from the Chimera7, go check out that video from last week. That'll give you an idea. It's on the exact same day with the same type of wind conditions. And this one here has a little bit more wobbles. Now it doesn't really show up once you apply Real Steady Go on the Hero 6 footage, but you'll see it in the unstabilized footage, which I'm going to show you the unstabilized footage because no one really cares about the Real Steady Go footage. Real Steady Go always looks good anyway, so I'm never going to show that again because you guys always complain about that. But anyway, yeah, I just, the out of the box Pitune was a little bit wobbly. I don't know if they had the exact same PIDs for this one and the DJI version, or they're different. Again, I didn't test the DJI version at all. And the DJI version does come with the air unit with two antennas, just like the Chimera7. So while this one's like 573 grams analog version here, the Chimera7, my Chimera7 with the DJI air unit without the GoPro and the battery is 660 grams. So it's quite a bit heavier, but these big motors can handle the weight no problem. It's just that with this analog setup and a lower overall weight, you can fly longer on the same battery, but because I didn't fly the same battery, I flew this one instead. Flight times are going to be a little bit better because it's got a little bit less weight. But overall, in terms of the way it flies, if you didn't tell me if it was analog or DJI or wherever the weight was, if you're just cruising around, you're not going to be able to tell a whole lot of difference. Now, if you're doing like crazy acro and freestyle with it, you're probably going to be able to tell a difference because there's a little bit. I mean, obviously the weight's going to make a difference in terms of how it performs, but you're going to need a really solid Pitune to do those kind of like aggressive type of flying, and you're going to need the right frame. So I don't know if this is the right frame for that either. This is fine for cruising around, but in terms of 7-inch freestyle, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but if that's your thing, that's not my thing, so I couldn't really evaluate it based on that, and I don't really fly these, doing power loops and Matty flips and that kind of stuff. I don't think that this size category is really meant for that kind of flying. So if you're into that, sorry, I'm not evaluating this based on that type of flying. Okay, so some of the things I thought were kind of nice. I thought that the larger GPS here is definitely better. You're going to pick up your satellites much quicker, not sitting on the ground as long. Now, I do know that on the newer versions of the Chimera7, they have upgraded the GPS. I have the like the first batch, which has like the worst GPS possible, but I know the newer ones have much faster locks. I don't have that version, so I can't compare directly. I know that antenna is smaller than this one. This one's a huge antenna, but also weighs more. In terms of the crossfire diversity, again, I didn't go super long range on this one, and getting an RX losses was kind of weird. I didn't know why I was getting that, but I was using, the same firmware that was on my transmitter, and I didn't get any errors or anything like that. And I didn't get a failsafe, so I'm not exactly sure what that meant. You'll see that in the flight demo. If you guys know why I got an RX loss there, do let me know down in the comments. I do like that they are using these M4 screws here. So these are much larger screws here for the arms to hold them on. Instead of using multiple screws, they're using one larger M4 with a press fit nut on the other side, which is right there. So it should be pretty solid in terms of holding the arm on. I don't like the old school camera mount here. So obviously they got the old school here, carbon plates, side plates here for mounting the camera. It's going to be nice and solid. Obviously, you're not going to get any jello. It's going to hold the camera really well. But the downside here with this old school style of camera mounting is that these standoffs here in the corners show up in your FPV feed because it's a wide angle field of view camera. Yes, I think they could have done something better here, move the camera more forward, maybe use some TPU parts here in the front standoff to give it that camera protection. It doesn't have a whole lot of weight at this size. Just to get the parts of the quad out of the camera view, I would recommend that highly on a future revision of this quad. The ESC is only BLHeli-S. Yeah, it is 48 amps, so that's sufficient. But the Chimera7 comes with a 50 amp 32-bit ESC. I didn't check if this has RPM filter or anything like that enabled. I just ran the stock PID tune, didn't make any changes. I don't think it does. But yeah, I think the Chimera7 does come out of the box with RPM filtering and 48-bit PWM enabled out of the box on their setup. So maybe a little bit better on their tuning on their part on that model versus this one. Okay, so I think that's going to cover for this video. I'll have a link down in the description to the narrated flight footage, and you can check it out and let me know what you guys think, both the GoPro and the analog video feed. As you can see there in the top part of the video, that's my new Chimera 4 V2 build. I know it's long. It's been sitting like this for a while. I've been kind of working on it here and there when I had time, but yeah, this one, let's let you know, this video is coming out eventually with those 1504 motors that you guys are asking me about. That's going to do it for this one. And let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys later.